I'm Will Smith for Tested.com, live in the Giant Bomb basement with the Luchador. He's back there. We're going to take apart this iPad. It's not the 3G model, it's the cheap one, but it's still pretty awesome. And we're going to take it apart and show you what's inside right now on Tested. Tested! So we have the normal array of tools here. I've got a variety of metal spudgers from iFixit.com. We got a couple of plastic ones, a heavy-duty one, a light-duty one, and then I have a screwdriver with a bunch of different adjustable bits. I have some Torx heads out because my hunch is that's what's going to be inside this bad boy. We're going to see what that is. We have a lint-free cloth so we can wipe the fingerprints away. And then I have a piece of tape down to put the screws on so I don't lose them, so that theoretically, should I not destroy this, we can put it back together. So let's get started. First thing, I'm going to get a spudger. It looks like, just looking at the outside, it looks like there's not really any way to get into it other than to wedge the spudger into this. There's a little rubber seam between the glass and the metal. I don't know if you can see it on the camera. It looks like maybe be able to. It is really super tight, but like right here, I can't tell where we are. There we are. Right around in here somewhere. So we're going to wedge it in up here on this edge, the top edge. I'm going to put it flat so I get a little pressure. See, it just slides right in there. Working it in real gently. I felt a stop. So now I'm going to pry. Oh, Jesus. This is incredibly high risk. Oh. So we've gouged up the metal just a little bit. It's not real bad. I might try a different spudger. Let's try this even thinner one and see if we can get a little more leverage with it. It's too thin. I'm not getting any kind of pull at all. Let's see what else we got here. We got this one. It's kind of in between. So these are basic prying and wedging tools. We got ours from iFixit.com. Those guys are great for taking apart Apple stuff and iPod accessories and stuff like that. I think the whole spudger kit is about $10. So you can get metal. The plastic ones are really cheap. They're a little flimsier. They're kind of disposable. Now it looks like there's some plastic tabs down here in this crack. I'm going to try and work these around. See, I'm going to get this in right here. Here we go. Lost it, but that's okay because now I know where the hole is. So this is a totally different kind of connector than the iPad is, iPhone is rather. If you're familiar with that at all. Oh, there we go. So we got a big, see these little tabs are holding it into a rim. I'm sure we're going to break some of these coming out. I don't see there's any way around it really. But it's all in the name of science. Oh, the corners are a bitch. I think the trick is you want to push the metal away from the glass, not lift the glass as much, if you can help it. It's a little hard to do. And of course I'm trying not to gouge up the gasket too much because that's going to look real ugly when we try to put this guy back together. There we go. No, that's okay. Home. I think Vinny just had a heart attack. Jesus, don't kill the iPad. Oh yeah, that's the stuff right there. Oh, and we're out. Okay. So let's see what just happened here. I knocked some cables loose for sure. Looks like this is a display controller up here. Let me unhook this stuff and we'll show you what everything is. How does this work? Okay, so the display controller is a slide in, slide out kind of thing, it looks like. Maybe a lift in, lift out. Let's see. Oh, there's the lock bracket, and it just pops right out. Okay, that's easy. Let's see what this guy is. We'll explain what each of these is in a little bit more detail in just a moment. I've never seen one like this before. This is new. Oh, it just pops out. Okay, that's going to be exciting to get back in. This might not be going back together, people. Okay, so here, this is the screen side. You can see bezel, back of the screen. This connector, if I had to guess, is power for the backlight, because you can tell where it is over here on the side is almost certainly going to be a backlight type situation. It may also be like Bluetooth and Wi-Fi and all that stuff. It's wrapped in plastic. We'll take that off in just a second, see what it looks like. Don't know exactly. I can't see what else. Can't imagine what else it would be. This is almost certainly the display connector cable, which is going to give you the, it's what drives. It's like your VGA connector, or DVI connector for a computer. So this goes from the logic board, which is down here, and then connects here to the display to drive everything out. This guy Looks like it's a light sensor, and we'll have to take it apart and see what else it is. It's cable. Let's see. It's labeled Foxconn Apple 2010. So the Foxconn makes a bunch of motherboards and stuff like that, and does a lot of ODM manufacturing for Apple. What we're looking at down here looks like some sort of circuit board. I would guess this is probably the main, like the motherboard for the iPad. Looks like 2 batteries, I would guess, wired together in parallel to make them last longer. As you can see, this is the dock connector down here on this end. It looks like it connects all the way through up here to the main board up here. We'll take the cover off that and see that in a moment. And then the last thing is that's connected to the power button, the volume up and volume down, and the screen lock button are connected over here. The headphone jack is connected right here. I already knocked that loose, unfortunately. We'll plug that back in a minute. I have a quarter. It looks like it's a Tennessee quarter. That's apt. I'm from Tennessee. So that gives you a sense of scale, how big the batteries are compared to a normal American quarter. These are giant batteries. So this battery, each of these batteries is about the size of an iPhone, a little bigger even, not quite as thick. But I mean, that's quite a lot of battery for inside the device. Let's see, it doesn't say what it is. Oh yeah, 3 electron volts, 24.8 watt hours. So that's a boatload of battery for, you know, a phone or, you know, like an embedded device versus a laptop computer or something like that. Let's take the batteries out. This is the connector that runs from what looks like the motherboard down to the dock. It's out. Let's knock the screw loose. I have my trusty piece of tape over here. The screw is so tiny it sticks to my finger. So I think these all look like they're going to be the same size screw just because it's easier to do this type of device like that. So let's unscrew. There's 2 more screws on either side of the dock connector. I'm going to unhook them next. The nice thing about doing this on video is that when I don't have any idea how to put it back together, I can just watch the video and do it backwards. Here's in reference to the quarter. I mean, it is a tiny, tiny little screw. Put that back down there. Let's see, we got, it looks like 2 more up here. I think this is all one big, giant, long circuit board. Maybe it's a ribbon cable. It's kind of hard to say, but we'll find out in just a moment. This might not even be required to unhook it, but I think it probably is. Back over there. Oh, now look, this one's a little bit longer. So that's good to know. 3 shorties, 1 longie. Looks like this one goes all the way through into the back of the case. It looks like the back of the case is aluminum, if I had to guess. Let's see if this guy lifts out now. Oh, lifts right out. Okay, so this looks like an antenna wire, maybe a speaker wire. Probably a speaker wire, if I guess. I'm pretty sure, well, no, speakers go over here, so I don't know exactly what this is. We'll have to play that by ear. I'm going to disconnect this volume knob, power button, all that kind of stuff. Let's go ahead and unscrew these guys. I think these hold the battery in place. I bet this whole battery assembly comes out in one piece. Those were on the bottom of the battery compartment near the dock connector, just so I remember when I'm watching the video later and trying to figure out how to put this damn thing back together. If we even try. This looks like speakers, if I had to guess. Now, I don't know exactly what speakers look like on a device this small, so it's going to be interesting for everybody to see. Okay, so now, look, the speaker, if that's what this is, yeah, this is speakers. See, little tiny speakers, 2 of them. They run up here. They're taped down to the edge. I'm finding surprisingly little glue. Usually glue means this is something you're not supposed to take apart. And it seems like they're not doing that so much with the iPad, which is kind of nice, because this is definitely something you're not supposed to take apart. Finding the right spudger for the job. I'm going to pop this guy off right here. Maybe not. And of course, as soon as I say that there's no glue, this is probably glued in. No, here it goes. So, that is an interesting connector. I've never seen that one before. This is a little tiny one. Actually, it looks like the ones inside a MacBook. So this is for speakers, 2 wires per speaker, a ground and a live wire, and they're powering these guys. And then this goes face down into the back, underneath the dock connector and all that stuff. So we'll leave that over here. So this has got to be Wi-Fi antennas. We're gonna pop this little plastic cover off. If we can, it may be glued. Nope, there we go. Pops off. Then I can remove the 2 antenna connectors. It looks like when it's oriented the right way, the one on the bottom goes to the one that's on that side. I wish I had a pair of little pliers. These guys usually just kind of release. Yeah, there we go. So one of those wires is probably a Bluetooth antenna, one's probably a Wi-Fi antenna, and it looks like they go into the actual chassis, or maybe this guy right here. I'm not sure exactly what this thing is. So we'll put this to the side. It's impressive. They're actually putting chips on things that are connectors. So, I mean, even though there's a lot of empty space in here, it seems like they're still being very kind of, you know, super conscious of the space that they're using, which is, you know, always kind of cool when you look at this stuff. Okay, so next step, let's see if we can get this guy out. It looks like the motherboard might be loose. Oh wait, one more screw here on the motherboard. Let's pop this guy off. He was covered by that last connector, so that's why I didn't see it. Okay, so now what you're seeing here on the motherboard is this big metal thing is shielding. So that keeps the EM from affecting the radio and vice versa when you're connected. So what we can do, it's on both sides, you'll see. The board, let's see, does it have maker's marks? It has a, let's see, 2010 Apple. AT&S is a board manufacturer. So they actually have made this, it's custom board for them. Let's pop off the protective thing, see what it looks like underneath. Okay, so now the trick is to get it kind of gently so you don't bend up all the edges and make it a problem. Okay, so I had a whole bunch of them just pop loose there. There we go. Let's see what's underneath. Okay, so here we have, looks like 2 pieces of Samsung memory. This was a 16 gig model, so I would guess these are 8 gigs a piece unless there's more on the other side. This is the A4. So this is an ARM-based custom Apple CPU. Probably made by some guys that used to work at AMD, or at least those guys worked on it. Okay, so this guy right here is a Broadcom chip. He looks like a BCM 597-3KF8GH, which I would bet, given its placement right here next to where the display connector goes, is probably the display controller. Then there's some TI silicon over here. I can't tell what it is. It's a CD3240A1. We'll look that up and get back here. Let's flip the other side over. I'm going to just pop this one off fast. So this is the other side. This looks like a whole bunch of stuff that kind of doesn't matter. This is all the housekeeping stuff. There is one Apple chip on the bottom here. I'm going to see if I can read it. It is an A2338SO805. No idea what that does. Never heard of that one before. So this is the backside of what looks like the motherboard. It lays in. This is the way it lays. So the CPU is facing the screen. And this is the heart. This is the heart of the iPad right here. I'm holding it in my hands. My hands are a little shaking. I'm pretty hopped up on adrenaline and coffee right now, I'll be honest. We're at the battery. We're breaking it down. I'm hitting a little bit of a roadblock. It seems to be glued into place here. We may not actually get this bad boy out because I am nervous about accidentally electrocuting myself in what is essentially a really, really tiny laptop battery inside this thing. So I'm going to spend another minute or two looking at it, seeing if I can find out where the pry bar is. They may have done this intentionally to kill the aftermarket battery market on these things, because I mean I can see how it would be a pretty big warranty problem. And Apple is a friend of planned obsolescence. So let's oh yeah, glue. There it is, right there. See it right there coming off the edge? Oh yeah. At some point in the future, we're going to hit the moment where we realize that there's no chance in hell this is going back together. We're going to cross that boundary together into the breach. Oh yeah, feel that glue letting loose. It's the sound of two things that were meant to go together coming apart. And cleverly, I've switched to the plastic spudger here. You can see that. So that should I pierce the battery, I'll have a non-conductive thing in my hand instead of a giant piece of metal. You guys have seen, what was that movie, the 80s movie about the prisoner who, the death row inmate who came back from the dead? Shocker? Is that what it was?
Ghostbusters 2.
Ghostbusters 2, exactly. Oh yeah, that's the stuff right there. Let's get it from this end now a little bit. The bad thing is the glue is so super sticky, I keep getting it off, and then it sticks back again. Okay, so I don't know if you can see under there. There we go. Oh, that's some big time glue. Look at that. So these are the batteries. Looks like they each have serial numbers and stuff like that. Batteries, unfortunately, kind of boring. Here's the way the battery connects. It gets power to the motherboard. I'm not going to touch it because I don't want to accidentally short it out. But these 4 pads right here at my finger, right there. Yep. Touch this guy right here and just kind of sets down on top of it, locks into place. So that's how it gets power. And otherwise, the batteries are kind of insulated from the whole thing. There's 2 antennas on this thing. We've already talked about this one back here. I would bet this is Wi-Fi. Let's pry off the bottom and see. We're getting ready to do some more stuff that is definitely not supposed to happen. This is definitely not a user replaceable part. There we go. So it looks like just a piece of shiny black plastic behind the Apple logo on the back. So you can see the shiny black Apple logo. And this is some sort of antenna. I don't really care which one. It's either Bluetooth or Wi-Fi because there's no 3G in this one. Ow, boy, that foil is really sharp and cutty, it turns out. There's a wounded thumb right there. Okay, so this is the bottom of the iPad case. This is it. We can't go any further. There's nothing more to take out of this thing. Remember I said a minute ago we're going to check out and see what was underneath this guy? That's what we're going to do. We're going to take it apart, see how many chips are under there. My hunch, because of proximity to the 2 antenna connectors that we pulled off earlier, is that we're going to be looking at Wi-Fi and Bluetooth under here, but I am not 100%. So let's find out. This is the same kind of thing as these other shields that were on the motherboard. It's another EM shield. The idea with this is to limit exposure, limit the EM exit from this area to only the things you want, the antennas, not to just random chips bleeding out. My thumbs are bleeding for you people right now. Okay, so that looks like a Broadcom BC. Oh, it's like a fucking vision test. Oh, let's look at it again. Broadcom BCM 4329XK UBG. I have no idea what that chip is. It is a Broadcom chip of some sort. It's on the thing that connects to the dock and Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. We'll look it up later. We're on the home stretch now. The only thing we have left. 9.3 inches, 1024 by 768 pixels of awesome. Obviously, we have backlight back here. I'm going to peel the tape back first. So let's see what's behind the curtain, as it were. Actually, I might peel the tape back last because it looks like this is really taped down. And it might be easier to take off once we take the screen out. So let's take the screen out. It looks like there's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's a whole shitload of screws here. I'm just going to start unscrewing and see how it goes. So when we talked about my screw technique here, the way I do this, the way I do the screws, is this is the first screw that I remove from the device. This is the last screw I remove from the device. So that way I always know kind of what order, you know, things usually go together, come apart in a specific order. It's a natural order of things, as you will. So this way I know, start with this one, finish with that one. And while we were away, we have independently decided that the chances of this going back together and working are virtually slim to none. You can see that this tape is definitely holding the screen in place. Oh yeah, peeling it back. That is the stuff right there. Look at that look at that piece of, look at that. Oh yeah. So what I'm going to do now is run this pointy edge right down the seam of tape, because it looks like the tape is actually in, and the seam is on the bottom, so it's going to be difficult to unhook before I have the screen out. We're trying to take the display off of the bezel so we can see what it looks like from the other side. Take a look at the backlight maybe, see if there's a CCFL or LED based. I think it's LED based, but I can't remember. I should have looked at that beforehand. And so what we have now is I've uncovered this guy right here, which is probably the backlight controller or maybe the display controller. It's made by LG, it says, which implies to me it's probably the display controller. If you want to see what happens when you pull the display out of the iPad, we're going to do it right now. It's really exciting stuff. Oh yeah, more glue. You can hear it. There's definitely a seam. There's a pad around the edge of the bezel, and that's what was glued down. So here's the display. Here's the bezel. Bezel's done. Nothing left to see here. This cable right here controls the touch screen. So it's the one that feeds the multi-touch input from the piece of glass on the surface of the display back to the CPU on the motherboard. And it uses this great big wide ribbon connector here. It was kind of a weird connector, something I've never really seen before. It's this one right here. This is going to be just a simple like data bus for the light sensor. We can probably pull that out if we care. Yeah, see, there it is right there, just that little tiny chip. And then this is the screen. So this is a 1024 by 768, 9.3 inch screen. Looks like, judging by the electronics on the back, made by LG Electronics. That means that Broadcom chip that we were talking about before over here on the main board is almost certainly a touchscreen controller, not the display controller. So we'll look up the part numbers and post some stuff in a story that goes along with this post later today. Let's pop off the two shields, EM shields here. Wow, that was easy. Ready? We're going to do the other one the same way. Pop. Yeah, so this is all just resistors and stuff like that. There's nothing super sexy. And I guess that's probably it. Let's. I guess we can take the foil off, the mesh tape around the edges here. See if we can separate the backlight from the LCD. That would be crazy. That also marks the end of all chances of us getting this back together. Vinny suggested using Scotch tape to put this back together. I could be wrong. I don't know if you got a close-up of this tape, but it is really weird looking compared to your normal garden variety Scotch and/or masking tape. Okay, so that's the frame that holds the backlight and the LCD to each other. Looks like. Maybe some more. I don't know how I've never taken apart anything that has an LED backlight before, so this is exciting and new for me. This is not good. Shit just got real. Okay. So, what we've done is we've taken the entire display chassis apart. So there's 2 or 3 components of a backlit LCD display. As you can see over here, we have the touch screen that's attached to the bezel. That's over here. We're forgetting about that. Then what we have here are the 2 main components of a backlit LCD display. So right here we have, I'm going to see if I can pry it apart. Well, this side is the LCD. Basically what it is a grid with some holes, and the holes can shine either red, you can switch to red filter, blue filter, green filter, and by shining light through those, it can make any number of colors, something like 16 million, depending on the type of LCD display you use. The other side of this is the LED backlight, or LCD backlight, as the case may be. See, look, it's prying apart. This is what it looks like when something beautiful dies. So this guy is a diffuser, looks like. I don't know. I'm not sure exactly what any of this stuff is. So, I mean, let's be perfectly frank. One of these things makes light. One of them diffuses it through the whole rest of the thing. I would guess that probably the lights are in the edge, if I had to say. I don't know what any of this stuff is. I've never taken any of this kind of stuff apart before. I've never gone this far. Taking it apart, not what you should do for good iPad health. Just get Apple Care. They'll give you a new one when it breaks. So, for Tested, this is how to take apart your iPad. I'm Will Smith. We'll be back tomorrow with something that's fully assembled again, I hope. I'm not feeling real good about the chances of getting this bad boy back together. I feel like we've made a bad mistake. I feel like I made choices that led to terrible, terrible things.